to have to think that, but that's the truth. All right, now the consecrations of Bishop Ballini, Bishop Stobnicki. Stobnicki, I think is the correct pronunciation. He's a Polish priest, a Polish bishop, and Father Morgan, who is English. The consecration of Father Bishop Stobnicki was in public. It was in Poland, in front of a private congregation. Well, it was of about 30 people. So that's because these people have understood the whole situation. The Polish people, the Polish resistance, congregations that have been built up by Bishop Stobnicki and who understand the problem of the resistance. So he would have support for doing what he's doing. I knew before I consecrated him that he would have the proper support, that he had been building up congregations which understanding properly, correctly, the whole problem, and that he would not be on his own. He would not be floating around with nobody following him. He's building up a following in Poland, and that's typical of Poland. It's one of the most faithful Catholic countries of all, and therefore he would not be on his own. So I consecrated him in front of a congregation of about 30 people, 30 of these Polish people who understood the whole situation. They don't hate the Pope, they respect the Pope, or even the man who seems to be the Pope, they respect. They're not, some of them may be sedevacantists, but they're not dogmatic sedevacantists. They're not foolish sedevacantists. They are people, they are Catholics who simply can't keep the faith if they have to believe that Pope Francis is Pope. So they, rather than lose the faith, they declare, they come to the conclusion he can't be Pope. Okay, I can understand that. I can sympathize with that. That's not completely unreasonable. On the contrary, there are quite a lot of reasons for it. So he had, Bishop Stobnicki had people that I could rely upon to support him, no problem. Okay, now Bishop Morgan is English. He's stationed at the moment in France. In France, the people, the traditional Catholics, are not yet as clear in their minds, a lot of them are not yet as clear in their minds that the system is wrong, the Romans are not to be trusted, that the survival of the faith depends upon resistance bishops. The French people are not, many of them, clear enough yet in their minds, and therefore they won't support a resistance bishop. They don't understand the need. They don't yet understand the need. As events close in, if you know what I understand what I mean, as events become more and more dramatic, we have, I've said, a reprieve by this latest vote of the American people against wokery. That gives us a reprieve of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years before the World War breaks out. It will break out, I do believe, as a punishment for our sins. But in the meantime, we have time, there's still time. But that also means that the French people will not yet understand, there won't be enough yet understanding why resistance bishops are necessary. A lot of them understand, but not all, by no means all. Or by no means all the traditional Catholics understand the need for resistance bishops. Archbishop Lefebvre understood it in 1988. That's because he had a special grace from God to understand the survival of the faith depends upon bishops, and bishops who are not semi-Roman or wanting to get official approval from Rome. Those bishops are sterilizing themselves. They're becoming sterile. Okay, Bishop Morgan sees this, and he himself preferred to be, he understood the need, the wisdom of accepting to be a bishop, but he didn't want it to be public to begin with, because not enough French people yet understand. I think that's the truth. Okay? So I consecrated him in private in order that when he will be needed, when he will be really needed, a lot more people will understand why. At this moment, not enough people understand why. Therefore, he preferred to be consecrated in private, which is why I consecrated him in private. Okay? At his own wish. I can understand his wish. I think he's a good candidate. Many people, many traditional Catholics think he is a good candidate, but also they don't see, many of them do not yet see the need. If we can do without resistance bishops, it's better, they think. I think that it's necessary to place these bishops in circulation, to consecrate them, if necessary, clandestinely, so that they will be there when they are needed. When they are needed, it may be impossible to consecrate them. There may be no more planes flying in the sky. There may be no more possibility of crossing the English Channel. But now he is there, consecrated. And now, of course, everybody knows he's a bishop. But it may have been wise to consecrate him at that time when I did, so that he's there when he will be needed. The same with Bishop Ballini. Bishop Ballini has been in Ireland a resistance priest for possibly, I'm making a guess, 8 years by now. Possibly 8 years he's been in Ireland. He used to invite me over to Ireland when he was a priest and I was a bishop. Of course, I've been a bishop from 1988. So he used to invite me over quite often. I used to go over to give confirmation, to give conferences, to give lectures, and so on and so on. Now it's impossible for me to go over to Ireland because the Irish police are on his case for anti-Semitism and so on. So I can't go over to Ireland. So when he was here on a visit, I decided quite fast, since he was here and it was possible to consecrate him. COVID was going on at the time. So there was a risk of Ireland being, people were talking about a complete cut-off of Ireland from the world. There might have been, because of COVID, a complete isolation of Ireland. Nobody allowed in, nobody allowed out. Okay?
Okay.
That being the threat, I then said, here he is in England. I've got an opportunity to put him in reserve, clandestinely, privately, without many people knowing, or the few people knowing, but not many, placing him inside Ireland like a good Trojan horse to be able to look after the faith. If Ireland was completely cut off, they would still have a bishop there available to look after them. That's why I consecrated Father Ballini privately or clandestinely. Clandestinity is coming. Many people talk of the church having to go underground. Have you heard that being said? That yes. The church may have to go underground. That means the church may have to go clandestine. All I'm doing is a little in advance of people realizing that clandestinity is necessary, and clandestinity is the way the church has got to go. That's the way things are. The catacombs, that's right. So all of these two bishops are Bishop Ballini and Bishop Morgan. They are merely advance examples of clandestinity, which the church may have to follow, because the situation is much worse than it was in the time of Archbishop Lefebvre. Archbishop Lefebvre said he consecrated in public. It was absolutely in public. There were journalists from all over the world, 300 journalists packed into a little cage almost, excuse me, like wild beasts. Because, excuse me, journalists are liberal. Excuse me. Journalists are the priests of liberalism. Can you understand that?
Yes, I understand perfectly. Here in Brazil is the same.
Liberalism is a religion. Liberalism is a false religion. The priests of this false religion are the journalists. Think about it. But anyway, it was like an arena of wild animals caged in a cage right next to the altar at the consecrations of 1988. It was quite an occasion. So I'm simply a bit ahead of I'm a long way behind Archbishop Lefebvre, but I'm a bit ahead of the church in the catacombs. But those two examples of clandestinity represent what may be coming, what may well be coming. Of course, it's not normal for Catholic bishops to be consecrated in private. Of course, it's not normal. But needs must, says the proverb. We're in a situation which is more and more grave day by day. Look at the craziness of traditionis custodes. The church authorities are going mad, completely mad. They're not defending the faith at all. They're undermining the faith. They are the chief enemies of the faith. The main officials of the Catholic Church, the main enemies of the faith. Can you believe it? But it's true. It's all around us. And Archbishop Vigano shows them up. He makes these magnificent declarations about the wickedness of the deep state and the deep church, and he compares the two. He's right. The enemies of God have succeeded in hollowing out the institutions, the Christian institutions of yesteryear, and these institutions are no longer Christian. They're no longer working for the faith, as all of the hospitals and law courts used to do in Christian countries. That's finished. The hospitals are a shell game, and they're turning into abortion centers. Hospitals, abortion centers. And the law courts, no longer the law or the truth, the law of God, but the law of man. God is nowhere in the hospitals, nowhere in the law courts. That's the situation of the law and medicine. And we saw what modern medicine has been, what the modern world is making of medicine. All of the doctors were for COVID, virtually. Not all by any means. But a lot of the doctors worked with the politicians in order to impose COVID and to make everybody get injections. And the lies were all over the place. Medicine for the good of people? No, medicine for depopulation. The murder of millions of people all over the world with these wretched vaccines, supposed solutions. The situation is serious. The law is gone, the medicine is gone, politics are gone. They're all just appearances of Christian institutions which are not Christian any longer at all. They're working for the devil. Politics for the devil. Look at the Democrats in the United States. Politics for the devil, medicine for the devil, COVID, law courts for the devil, these unjust laws, these godless laws. It's a situation which I know only one official bishop. No, he's not even official, of course. He's been excommunicated, Archbishop Vigano. He's been excommunicated now because the official church cannot tolerate him. It cannot tolerate true defenders of the faith, like Archbishop Lefebvre or Archbishop Vigano. Can't tolerate them.